actually so sick of it. Like, since when going out in Glasgow became such a hassle? Like, why anytime I'm going to the club, there's gonna be exact same people doing exact same thing, just staring you the fuck down. It's like, I understand if we would have had an issue, or like, I would at least known you. But no, I'm absolutely clueless who you are, so why do you hate me? Like, now one of the biggest clubs in Glasgow are shutting down because it's not fun to go out anymore. Why am I just trying to go out with the girls, have a little fun, have a little dancey dance, and there's niggas there just standing at the corners like...
Ran through people don't cheat. Why would I fuck up my happy home over some... when I've taken so many, I don't even know my body count. I've seen it all, done it all, tried it all, been flipped and everything. So what am I gonna fold for? You inexperienced people fold for anything because you never had shit.
Wait, I'm cracking up. I just got off my flight from New York. I landed in Fort Lauderdale. This girl comes bum rushing me. And at first I was scared. I was like, who dat? And she comes up to me. She was like, oh my God, you're the girl. I'm like, what girl? She was like, I'm going to tell you why the club scene is over. The club scene is over. And she recited the entire 30 seconds, my first monologue of that 10-minute video. And I was like, I was so happy. I was so happy. I'm changing lives, okay?
Nightlife is dying. Nightlife is dying. Let me tell you something. If you graduated high school after 2012, and that's being generous, I don't want to hear your take on why nightlife is dying. Because truth be told, y'all wasn't even in the clubs when the clubs was clubbing. If you weren't in Dre's, if you did not go to Vegas before 2018, you don't know what real Vegas was like. And this isn't really to shame, but this is more so we need to be real with ourselves, because I see a lot of people who are 25 and under talking about why the club scene changed, and you were never even in the club scene to begin with, when it was something. The club scene is dead because of a few reasons, but if we're being honest, number one is social media. Social media, social media, social media. When you went to the club, you didn't have shit to do but dance. Why? Because there wasn't shit else to do. You went to the club to dance, to break someone off, to have a good time. Everybody standing around on their phones. We weren't doing that because there were no phones to really stand around on. And even when we did have phones and had social media at the time, motherfuckers wasn't posting on Instagram like that. Like, we were posting pictures of our coffee cups. We were posting like abstract shit on Instagram. It was never really for selfies and personal pictures, and there wasn't as much socialness and social media back then. Not when you were in the clubs. Next, y'all can sit here and say that it's men wanting to be bad bitches, which I don't disagree with. I was at one of my homeboy shows, Akeem Ali, and he was in Berkeley. And it's so funny because he went to go sing to the bitches, and he looked down and it was a bunch of niggas in the front. And he's like, why the fuck am I looking at niggas? Get to the back. Get the fuck, bring the bitches to the front, please. And they, in fact, stepped back and brought the females to the front, because why are you in the front row of a concert of a man who is singing to bitches? It just doesn't make sense. And back to social media, right? Social media kind of made it to be cool for men to disrespect women. And not even like, I mean selectively. There was this creator on here who stitched this girl who was talking about her experience at this Sierra pop-up. And he's like, you're just mad that niggas wanted to see Sierra, not you and your raggedy ass friends. And it's like, that's the problem. Social media has made y'all lose your minds in the sense of you have no manners, you have no morals, you don't respect women. And social media has like really just normalized that and really made that shit cool, and it's lame as fuck. In no way in the 90s, in no way in the early 2000s, shit. Even when I was in clubs in, the 2010s, there was no way that niggas was cutting in front of bitches, pushing in front of bitches to see anybody in concert. Like, that shit was never fucking happening. And if we're being honest, if any nigga I knew back then, if we were at a concert and a man was tall as fuck and he could see he was standing in front of a bunch of women, he would move over to let them women see. Motherfuckers would pick us up to help us fucking see. Strangers, mind you. Because it doesn't matter about looks. It doesn't matter what the fuck you look like. At the end of the day, I'm still a man and you're still a woman. Like, what? And this is why I say it's etiquette. And it wasn't like, it didn't change overnight. I've noticed that it changed with social media. And a lot of these podcast bros and a lot of seeing other niggas do shit and get away with it. And so you're thinking you can do the same shit. You're thinking that it's cool to disrespect women. You're thinking it's cool to only respect women that you like or find attractive. No, my love. What the fuck? Yes, and so now you have a generation of men who are standing on couches. Now you have a generation of men who say that, well, if I buy you a drink, right? This is another video I've seen. about nightlife. But it's like, yeah, if we buy you a drink, then what are we getting out of it? I better be getting something. I'm not just spending my money on any kind of girl. Bitch, it's $10, $15, $20. Hey, let's say that you got an old fashioned for $18 for a bitch. If you're so hard pressed for $18, you don't need to be dating. You need to be worried about getting your fucking money up. You shouldn't even be in the club. You shouldn't even be in the club. But social media has made it to where it's okay for men to want to be chased. They made it okay for y'all to think that y'all are the fucking prize. And you're not. It's really all it comes down to is social media and how social media has brainwashed society. And it really is unfortunate because there are people who just like to dance and have a good time. And unfortunately, you guys will never be able to experience clubs. You will never be able to experience Vegas in that capacity because they will probably never ever be the same again. Unless you have like a club that takes phones at the fucking door, y'all will never have that experience. And yet and still, you probably have to have house rules that everyone has to abide by, men and women both, because yeah. It's just not going to be the same.
And they spank me when I don't listen.
Aggression.
Aggression? How do you want it?
Like put you in your place, aggression?
Yeah, that's how.
It's a red flag that turns you on.
Being in another relationship. Of course. When they like hit me and shit, like when they choke me. It's because my mom is watching. I've eaten ass.
A girl who cheats.
When they have wives or girlfriends. No, the dick is good.
Married guys. Married guys. The best red flag is she a hoe, she for the boys.
If he has a bad relationship with his mom.
Because then you take care of it?
Yes.
When they're cheating, that turns me on. Like, fuck.
Is she fucking another in front of you that turns you on?
Nah, she ain't my girlfriend.
It's when the bitches get down HOA.
This myself. It's insane work. You're in a bathroom line, no guy's letting you cut. You're at the bar, no guy's offering to buy your drink, and they don't even dance. Like, they don't even, like...
All right, I'm about to sound like a red pill ball licker. About to get on my Andrew Tate. But yo, that's what you wanted. Why are you complaining? Equality, right? 50-50. That's what y'all niggas wanted, bro. I don't want to hear none about that. Oh, they don't want to buy us a drink. Buy your own drink. Oh, they don't want to let us cut in line. Wait like the rest of us. Okay? What you're talking about, you want traditional relationships. Nah, that's things of the past. You know what came with tradition? Chivalry. Buying you a drink for no reason. Because you're not leaving with us. Right? Everything gives you the ick. If we don't look like Brad Pitt, it's the ick. Oh, shit. No. You guys are strong, independent black women. Okay? So, buy your own fucking drink. Okay? Stand up. It's my seat now. Alright? I want the clout now. Alright? I'm sick of you guys getting the clout for everything. Oh, I'm beautiful. No. Now it's our turn. We want a soft life now. Alright? Now you want this 50-50 half stupid new Gen Z bullshit? That's what you get. Now the club is filled with men on that prerogative. Okay? These fucking drinks cost $20 a piece. Buy your own shit. Thank you. That's why the club scene is dead. And you trying to find good men? Get out of the fucking club. Okay?
You know they're not going to listen to you, bro. They don't care nothing about what you got to say. They really don't. And they make a point of saying that they don't care about what you have to say. But they want you to spend that money, though.
Why would I, as a lady, pay $40 to get into the club with 1 hour left? I'm standing out. First of all, this is the type of club where you make a reservation and you get in free. But I guess you're supposed to get there before a certain time, but didn't specify that you're supposed to get into the club before a certain time. So I'm trying to show the guy my code. The one guy talking about, oh, you got a reservation? This hating ass other man talking about, that's not good. It's $40. Why would I pay $40? Why would I pay $30? Why would I pay $20? Why would I pay $15? And then it got to the point where dude was asking me, oh, how much are they trying to charge you? I said $40. He said, hell no, they charging you $40. You're a girl. And they gonna tax the fuck out of me? Yeah. That's quick math. What are y'all talking about right now? If it's 1 hour left in the club, everything should be half price. Like, and if I made a reservation, and you didn't say I couldn't come past a certain time. So it's like, what are we talking about?
Yeah, nightclubs are dying.
Look at this. Empty. Nobody in there. Because men make it happen. We keep the establishments going. We spend our hard-earned money. Men are done.
Is clubbing dead everywhere?
Why are clubs all over the UK going from this to this?
Empty.
Strippers say a market crash is guaranteed because the strip clubs are suddenly empty.
I was in college in Miami from 2011 to 2015, which means I was in all the clubs, Story, Live, all 11. I was co promoter, so I always got into VIP for free. Basically, I had a very good time. And during that time, there were rules. But the clubs and the promoters were smart. They knew that if you catered to women, the men would come. The men would pay. Why? Because men want access to women, but also men are in competition with each other. And so oftentimes the girls got in free before 11:30 and men had to pay. It depended on if they were coming with the promoter, they would pay like $20. But typically speaking, there was a cover for the club. And you knew that as one of the girls in VIP, it was your job to make the club fun. You were going to be up, you were going to dance, you were going to have a good time with your girls. And you were going to be relatively safe because the promoter and the bouncers were making sure that you were good. And it worked because oftentimes the promoter was the only dude, or promoter and maybe like 2 or 3 of his friends were the only dudes in a section full of like 10 girls. And so it would make other men also feel like they had to spend money. And because men knew that women would be at certain clubs or bars, they would also make sure that they were at those clubs and those bars, because why? They wanted access to at least be in proximity to women. And one of my classmates invited me out for her birthday, and I went to a club here in Atlanta a year ago, and it was boring. It was absolutely boring because it's obvious that they're catering to men now instead of women. And one of the major ways in which it's obvious that they're doing that is not only that they're charging women to get in, they also do not play club music. Why are y'all not playing a mix of music in order for people to be able to dance to? Why are you playing trap music the entire night? Where's the Megan Thee Stallion? Where's the Glorilla? Where's the Cardi? Where is the ass throwing music? And I am older now, so I don't know exactly what these kids listen to. But I do know for a fact that that entire night, they barely played anything that you could actually dance to.
No judgment, like everyone can obviously do whatever they want with their own lives, but when people my age, like mid-20s, be like, oh, I'm such a grandma, I can't go out, I need to be in bed by 9 p.m. I can't fucking relate. Like, I like to go and have fun. Maybe you're just over certain like scenes and vibes. Maybe you just need to find some places that are more aligned with the type of vibe that you want to go out. I don't think it's just about staying inside and not having any fun though. Like, I feel like especially if you're a young pretty girl, it's time to go outside and have a time. Best part about going out is getting ready. Like, I love turning on my music, taking my time, doing my makeup, doing my hair, choosing my outfit, getting all dolled up, having a little getting ready cocktail, going out, eating some good food, having some cute little drinks, and vibing out to some good music and vibes with friends. Like, trust me, I don't like club culture sections, that type of vibe anymore. I'm more of like DJ sets on the rooftop, beach club, cabana, classy upscale bars and lounges and stuff. But I also definitely understand like not wanting to go to the same little clubs with like hookah and like sections and have like a certain type of crowd and vibe. Like, I get that.
And what y'all aren't going to admit is that y'all be going there vibing out with another man's money, vibing out on another man's dime. And when a man decides the jig is up, then all of a sudden club culture is dead. We need to move on to something else. Basically move on somewhere else where we can try to spend a man's money.
I think the real reason that the club scene died is because we allow grown-ass men to get on top of tables and rap Lil Baby as if they were Lil Baby instead of having girls on stages dancing in big jumbotrons. What happened to that? Bring that back.
So I'm on my way home from a function, and honestly, don't get me wrong, I had a good time, right? But I came to the realization that I don't like to party anymore. Like, I don't like to party. It's just not fun for me anymore. And I think I need to stop forcing it. I mean, I haven't partied in a long time, but I decided to go out today, of course. But no, it's just not fun anymore. The nightlife is just so dead, in my opinion. Like, it's just so different. And
on a really shit date. On Wednesday, after work, I went to the pub to meet a man. I got there early because I just walked from my job, and so I took a book with me, and I honestly just wish I had have kept reading. I just don't understand how, in real life, this man was so painfully boring. I think I was about 15 minutes into the date and really just wanted to go home at that point. And I just had to wait until we ordered food, and then I had to wait so long for the food to come, and then we had to eat the food, and I had to politely be like, I'm gonna go to the bathroom before we go, because it was the only way I could think of to end this date. In a nutshell, he moved here, I think like 10 or so years ago with his family from England, and I was like, okay, this is interesting, like tell me about that. Couldn't really get much information from him. He is part-time working as a support worker and part-time at a grocery store, and wants to get into like the mental health field full-time, which is fine because that's my job. And so when I said that to him, I would have assumed he would have asked me questions of like, how did you get into this job? How long have you been doing it? What do you recommend? What good companies are there to work for? What advice do you have? Nothing. I spoke a little bit about like my personal life and what I like to do for fun, and there was no questions around what are you reading at the moment, what's your favorite book, what TV shows do you like, when you hang out with your friends, what do you, there was nothing. It was so boring. I just cannot understand how there are people like that in this world that have no strong personality. And I don't want to sound like egotistical, but I'm funny. Most of the time I'm funny. People don't always like my sense of humor, and that's fine, but for the most part I'm funny. And if you don't laugh at my jokes, it's not good. And additionally, if you are not funny, it's not going to work. Like, I'm funny, you need to be funny, we need to be funny together. It's just how it is. Like, that's just how the universe is for me. And if you are unable to step up to the funny plate, it's just not going to work. It was bad. He unintentionally walked me to my car because we were walking in the same direction, and he went to turn away and go down a different street, and I was like, your car's actually up there. Like, if you go that way, you're not going to get to your car, so you need to go that way, the way that I'm going. And then we gave each other an awkward one-arm hug, and he said, yeah, I'll text you later. And I was like, please, Lord, no. And it was just a mutual ghosting, because I think it was a mutual understanding that this was not good. And I'm not saying that I'm the best person on a date, because there would definitely be attributes that like the other person doesn't like about me, and that's fine. But holy God, how is a man so boring? And I know one of my coworkers said to me the other day, I've been looking at your dating TikToks and I really think that you need to date a woman. And I was like, look, find me a woman. Find me a woman. I cannot find women on dating apps. It is incredibly hard. I feel like queer women on dating apps are very picky. No offense to them. It's very hard to find them, and I don't know how to find one in the wild. I went to the queer social event very recently, but I didn't know how to know if people were single or just wanting friendships. I wish that we wore badges that indicated friends only or romantic interests are possible. I don't know how to meet the ladies. Dating sucks.
So with all the trash you're talking, did you pay for the date? Since it was so incredibly boring? At this point, modern women need to start giving men a refund on their money, because you are not worth the experience.
Guess who's back? Gentlemen of the internet, I have a serious conversation to have with you today, and I have a very serious question to ask. What is with the dead fish pictures on your dating profiles? Let me hold your hands while I say this. Women do not like the dead fish pictures. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news. I want you guys to know that I'm not coming down on you too hard. I'm really just trying to help you out. I'm trying to help you get more dates and help us get more dates. Because even if I see a guy on Hinge and he's cute and he has a good job and he's my type, the moment I see him holding up a dead pike, picture of fish, the moment us ladies see that, disqualified. Swipe left. You're done. But while we're on the topic, is there anything that women do on their dating profiles that turns you guys off? Anyways, let me know so that I can tell all the other ladies, and then all of us are gonna get more dates as a result. So stop with the fish. We're done.
So I got my first "Hey girl" DM today. Quick story. I met a man at the grocery store. I met him in the wild, which is really cool. That doesn't happen often. And he was really good looking. This one's 6'2", not 5'9", and his ears were relatively proportioned correctly. So yeah, that was right then and there. That's the test. Facial hair, tatted, my type of guy, right? So we met for a drink right after the grocery store, and then we talked for hours. He could hold a conversation. He had opinions. He was funny. He made me laugh. Things were looking good, right? So we talked like for 4 hours. That drink just led to a whole conversation. Then he asked me out again last night, and so I did. I went out with him last night. We had dinner. Again, great conversation, made me laugh. We had so much in common. There was chemistry, definitely chemistry. So then I get home and I get a DM, and it's his girlfriend. She is there to tell me that he has a girlfriend and he's had one for quite a while. And she thought I should know. And he said, okay. So I called him and I asked him about it, and he said, yeah, things have been rocky. I'm going to break up with her. I've been wanting to break up with her. And then when I met you, it gives me more reason to do it. And I promise I'll call her right now. I'll end it. And I said, don't do it on my account. If that's what you want to do for yours, go ahead. But after this conversation, I'm blocking you. And he said he couldn't understand why. He was like, why? I'm leaving her. No. I messaged her and I let her know that I blocked him and I would not be contacting him again. And she thanked me and she said, I knew you would be a girl's girl. No, I told her I'm not a girl's girl. I'm not a girl's girl. I don't consider myself to be one. I've said it before. Too many women on here vote against their own rights, and I'm not down with that. So you don't know who you can trust around here. So I told her I did this for me because he has already shown me that he's a liar and he's a cheater. And I will never let somebody treat me like that, ever. So I didn't do this for her. I did it for me. I'd be stupid to take a man who's already shown me, he showed me who he was, and I'm gonna believe him. Because this woman was not ugly. She was beautiful, and she was educated. So that could be me, and I'm not going through that. No, I don't deserve that. And I'm not gonna put somebody else through it either. So I'm not stupid. No. How stupid would I be to take that man after I know that he's cheated and he's lying? No.
I don't know if it sounds like he was trying to run a game on you. It just sounds like he was trying to go in a different direction. I feel like the problem that I have with this is that when women do this, like when they decide they want to leave somebody, even though people are like, wait until you completely separate. I don't want to deal with baby daddies or anybody else. Then all of a sudden, it's okay for you to continue dating because I was out of love with him. I fell out of love with him. So we're not really even locked in like that anymore. So it should be okay for us to talk. But if a man were to do that, which he did in the situation, which I'm not condoning it, then all of a sudden it's, he's lying, he's cheating, whatever. I'm not even sure how she found out. I will say, well, yeah, that's probably how she found out. I think one thing to be careful for, and he did tell you when you asked him, he didn't lie to you. He told you, well, yeah, this is what I'm going through and I'm about to leave, which, like I said, you need to go ahead and make a clean break, but you need to watch out for these women, I feel like, that want to ruin your chances, right? This is one situation to where maybe he should have been a little bit more forthcoming and, hey, I'm still in a relationship, or let me get out of the relationship first, or just get out of the relationship altogether. That much is true. But there's a lot of modern women that stalk the man's page and they will say stuff. I think that's not true. And I think that's my only concern here, is that there are a lot of women out there that will see him with another woman, and you'll take her word for it just without even talking to her. And basically you'll hear what she says and then accuse him and have him defending himself, and you don't even know her. That drives men up a wall. Like you'll listen to outside noise and outside chatter. I feel like this is a bigger problem. You'll listen to your boss man, you'll listen to your mother and your father. You'll listen to everybody else, and you'll give them first dibs to tell you what's going on before you give that man a chance to say, hey, this is what I got going on. This is what's up, right? Like I said, I get what you're going through in this specific situation, but I just feel like if we broaden the scope a little bit, number one, if it was reversed, women would try to explain this away, and there's a lot of women that would be okay with it. Number one. Number two, I feel like a man is always trying to defend himself from what everybody else says about him.
All my single ladies, what are we supposed to do when meeting a man in the wild doesn't work, and then we go on Hinge, it also doesn't work? What are we supposed to do? What are we doing? What's option number 3?
So in one of my previous videos, I asked the single ladies where we're going to meet men when finding them in the wild doesn't work and online dating doesn't work either. So I asked, what's option 3? Where are we going? What are we doing? And a lot of the men commented and said that single women should be going to Home Depot and typically male-dominated stores. So that's what I did, okay? Today, I went to Home Depot. I looked confused walking through the aisles, expecting to meet somebody or have somebody approach me. Do you know what I walked away with? Ribbon. So no man, nobody approached me. To the men out there, what else you got? What other suggestion do you have for me?
Dating is not for the faint of heart. When you are 51 years old, you're almost 52. I have never dated anybody who is age appropriate or even close to my age, okay? I matched with a guy last week who was 53 years old, and he was so fit and had a great job, had this fantastic backstory that was just like all of the pieces that for me personally, not saying for anybody else, but for me personally, would signify all of the traits in a good man that I am looking for. He had not been divorced. He had been widowed. And I know that's like a sad story, but I think most women would agree that that's kind of like a heartwarming story if you don't remarry. He was a veteran. He was still in his older age getting advanced degrees and pursuing things. And like I said, he's super, super fit. He's so youthful. His kids are the same age as mine. And he's still like setting goals and working toward them. And he's retired twice from 2 different professions. And he just keeps going and making new professions for himself because he's not sick of learning. And that is what I'm dying for in a partner, because I feel like that's sort of like how I am mentally. Anyway, so we start talking, and he is so funny and he's so charismatic, and we're just like on it when somebody's on your wavelength. And when I'm talking to him, I feel like I'm 20 years old, and he sounds like he's 20 years old to me. And I know that that's a good sign. And then we're just sort of vibing, talking, and he's like, God, I've not talked to anybody like this, like ever. And all of a sudden he says, oh my God, I just realized where you lived. And I'm like, how did you not know? And he said, no, do you not know where I live? And I said, you live in downtown Tampa. And he said, no, I don't. I live in downtown, this whole ass other county. And I was like, wait, what? His profile just says downtown, and I thought it was weird. And I even asked him about what made you move to Florida and pick to live downtown? Because downtown is just a sea of 25-year-old scenesters. Like, no age-appropriate man with a real job and money would choose to live in a sea of these kids. And so I did think it was weird that he wasn't like, yeah, I don't really like it. It's just because he doesn't live there. Anyway, he was like, it's fine. We're going to make this work. And we ended up being like 2 hours and change apart. And that's fine for me. You know, the last person that I dated kind of seriously was 3 hours away. So I don't mind that so much. And he doesn't have, he just lives by himself. So it's not like he's got kids that he needs to rearrange around or anything like that. And we were both like, it's going to be fine. Anyway, we have talked like more consistently than I have probably spoken with anybody recently, where I feel like I really got a sense of who he was. But it came up to the weekend. And he was, the whole time we were talking, he'd be like so good about like, I'm going into a meeting, so I won't be available, or I'm doing this, or I'm out on a walk. You know, so when you just disappear, you're not disappearing. The person knows like, okay, it's like saying goodbye when you're on a telephone call, but it's how you do it in text. So he's really good about that. He mentions he might be going out of town for the weekend. I'm like, okay, that's fine, whatever. He mentions he's leaving work about like 3 that day. And he texts me. I text him back at like 3 and I never hear from him again, which is like, okay. I mean, like that night I was like, oh, I kind of miss talking to him, but it's fine. Most people would probably, I guess, go out on a Friday night. I mean, I wouldn't because I'm a homebody, but okay. And then it got to like midday Saturday and I just get a quick text from him that was like not initiating conversation. It felt like, you know, I'm acknowledging you, I'm holding you on the line, but I'm not wanting to talk. And so I just didn't respond back. I was out with my kids. And when I got home, I sent him a quick text and heard nothing from him. And then that night before I went to bed, I was like, God, I'm not hearing from him again. It's like weird, you know, it's just a little bit weird. It's one thing one night, but 2 night, most people don't do that who are truly interested. Like, anyway, so I just sent him a text that said like, oh gosh, boy, you really weren't kidding about that quick marriage and anticlimactic subsequent divorce, you know, like, haha, making a joke about us just like not talking for the past 2 days. And I heard from him late the next day, which is exactly what I anticipated would happen. I had this whole thought process about how he's going to show back up when all of his free time is over. And he'll be back on like work schedule where he has like these little breaks where he can fit me in. And I was like, so, but when it's his free time, it's like I don't exist in the world, you know? And sure enough, so he texts me and he says, I'm responding apparently to my, you know, subsequent divorce comment where I was kidding. I made it clear that was a joke, but he said, you know, I'm so sorry. I went to this really big neighborhood Halloween thing. I didn't have pockets. I left my phone out on the counter. Somebody thought it was their phone, picked it up, and I did not get my phone back until midnight that night when they finally drove it back. I texted him, I read it, and I texted him back and said, no explanation needed, no worries. Like, and then he sent some like snarky comment about like losing photos of me. Like, oh, I don't care if I lose my bank account information. Like, we're screwed without our phones, but you know, I'll lose the photos of you. And that's like not the way that he talked to me before, you know? And I just ignored it. And my thought process was this, like, I just was like, I'm not responding to him again. If you lost your phone, if that truly was what happened, if you lost your phone, my thought process is that you drink too much for me. Like, ain't no normal person losing their phone at a party. Most people that I'm interested in aren't going to be at a Halloween party at 53 years old in midday. Like, I'm sorry. And not have pockets, lose their phone. That means you're probably drinking too much. All of it just sounds like something I'm not interested in. That's like my one thing is the drinking thing. Like, no. I'm not interested. And so maybe that wasn't true, but it also occurred to me since we matched on Bumble that maybe he thinks that I can see his GPS, like his location, his real-time location. If you've ever used Bumble, that's the one thing about it. When you match with somebody and they click open your profile, they can see where you're from, but also where you are at that exact moment through GPS, which is kind of insane. And I don't know if he thought maybe that I could see that, which I can't. It's actually blocked. You can block it. Mine's blocked. But most men don't know that they can block it. And he thought, and I could tell that he thought that I could see it by previous conversation that we had, but I couldn't. But it would explain if he were at somebody's house that wasn't his, like he would think I would know what his location was, downtown or whatever it would read while he was there, but maybe he was somewhere not at his house, and it was an explanation as to why his phone was pinging on GPS somewhere until very late that night when he wasn't responding to me. And I am willing to admit that 1 in 100 times, that actually what he said could happen. And a nice man could lose his phone. But I'm also willing to admit that 99 times out of 100, that is just some dickhead making up a story, stringing me along. And so I am willing to let that one slip through the cracks at the expense of the 99 other ones. What do you guys think? Did I make the right decision? Oh yeah, he texted me. He continued to text me, and then he finally was asking me if there was anything wrong, and then just was by Monday totally normal. And I finally just sent him a voice note and said, "Hey, listen, this is all just supposed to be fun and exciting, and that's the whole point of dating. It is just like a fun, side thing from real life. And but when somebody makes you feel like it's a chore to talk to you or respond to you, it's no longer fun. It's no longer exciting, and I'm not interested in that. And I hope you find what you're looking for. You deserve it, but it's not going to be with me." Was I wrong? Too quick?
Y'all are really going to hate me for this one. This story is a little bit interesting. So a friend of a friend I always thought was very cute. He knew I existed. I knew he existed, but nothing ever came of it. Well, my friend always wanted it to be a thing because she absolutely loved him. They were really good friends, and she was always rooting for us. So finally one day we match on Bumble, which is just the perfect scenario. No one really had to make a move. It just kind of happened naturally. I'm asking my friend, I'm like, "Do you think he knows who I am?" And she's like, "Yes, definitely." I was newly single at the time. I had just gotten out of a marriage, and I just started dating again and putting myself back out there. His first message to me was very long and very serious. He immediately starts telling me how he's not ready to be a dad. That makes him really nervous about dating me. He doesn't want anything to ruin his friendship with my friend. He was just going on and on about these concerns. I really tried to ease his concerns, telling him, my daughter has a dad. You would not be in her life for a very long time if we ended up dating. Yes, eventually you would be in a father role for her, but that would be way down the line. Next day, he unmatches me. Fast forward a year, we match on Tinder. And I'm so excited because I never got closure. I just figured he went back and forth in his mind about it and was like, I don't want to date someone with a kid. So the first couple messages on Tinder seem fine and flirty. He once again immediately starts going into, I don't want to be a dad. I'm not in a place in my life where I'm looking for someone with a kid, blah, blah, blah. But if you're open to it, I'd be willing to go on a date and just kind of see where things go. Which to me seemed like the perfect compromise. We start texting, and I sent him an audio message basically being like, I just want to be clear, I am not looking for something casual here. I am at a place where I'm looking for something serious. And if you're not wanting that, then I don't think we should go on this date, because if we have a good time, I will develop feelings for you. And if you don't want the same thing, I just want to be clear with my intentions. He immediately was like, I have been very clear with my intentions with you. This isn't going to work out. And I would just like to say, no, he wasn't. Never did he ever say, I do not want to date you. I am only interested in a hookup or something casual, however you want to say it. He was the one that was like, let's just go on a date, see where it goes, whatever, which I should have interpreted that as not looking for something serious, but sorry. So then I'm like, okay, you know what? It's not that serious. I just want to go on a date with this guy. He was stuck in my head so bad. I had this person created, and I just needed to sit across from him at a table and figure out if he was actually like that or not. So I texted him, and I'm basically like, okay, you know what? Let's just go to dinner and see how the vibes are. So we go on a date. Our date was 3 hours long. And I tell you that I was talking the entire time. I'm not exaggerating. My throat was sore after that date. And not for the reason you think. I had all the closure I need after that date. And I was like, wow, you know what? I'm actually really glad that I did that, because I actually never want to see that man again. Well, my friend had a birthday party a few months after that. We had not spoken. But, I was a little tipsy. I was feeling myself. And I'm like, okay, well, I know I don't want to be in a relationship with him, but let's circle back to the being casual thing. So at my friend's birthday, I go up to him and ask him if he wants to kiss. But before that, I say to him, how do you feel like our date went? And he was like, I think it was good. What do you think? And I was not honest with him because I did not want to hurt his feelings. But I was just like, I thought it was fine. And then towards the end of our conversation, I was like, would you still be open to kissing me? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, okay. So we were heading to our next location of the birthday party, and I rode in his car and we kissed a little. He ends up dropping me off at the bar and then heading home. Texted him the next day and said, I enjoyed kissing you last night. He said, I did too. I said, let's do it again sometime. He said, I'm really not convinced that this is what you want. That's when I let him down easy and I said, I'm gonna be honest with you. I did not have a good time on our date. I thought we did not vibe. So that gave me the closure I needed on that end of things, and that made me feel more open to doing something casual because I know there will be no feelings attached. And I never heard from him after that. My takeaways from this date: I'm very glad that I went on the date, got the closure I needed. I'm also glad that I kissed him because I felt like that gave me a sense of closure as well. If it was meant to be, it would be. And I do not regret putting myself out there and seeing if it was something that I wanted to pursue. I feel like at this point, y'all just already have your minds made up. It doesn't even matter what I post, that I'm crazy and desperate and whatever else, fill in the blank. I could post any dating story and you're just gonna come at me because you just already have your minds made up of the kind of person that I am. Even if I posted a dating story with 0 flaws, you would find something to pick at. And I'm just here to remind you, probably a reminder that you get over and over again on the internet, that you do not know a person based off of their social media. You just don't. If you haven't learned that by now, you think you know me because of the few videos I have posted. You don't know anything about me, quite frankly. You see my dating stories, they're funny, they're entertaining, and that's all you know. You do not know anything else. And it's totally fine if you disagree with my dating approach or the things that I do. I love having the conversation. It's so fun. But to just be rude and hateful for no reason, you will get blocked because it is my page and I can block whoever I want. And if you're being rude for just absolutely no reason, you will be blocked. So just your daily reminder, you don't know me. And as I'm posting these fun dating stories, like, yeah, let's chat. You can disagree with me, but if you're just gonna be rude, like, keep scrolling. Once again, comments are more engagement, so if you want to engage, by all means, but just be nice, okay? Have a great night. Okay guys, this man actually deserves jail time. And let me start by saying my dating story with this guy is the least crazy of the stories that have come out about him. So I go to Austin, Texas a lot just because I love it. I set my Bumble location to Austin. I matched with this cutie patootie, just a good old Texas looking man, mullet, mustache. Don't remember what my first message was to him, but he didn't respond. On Bumble, the girls have to message first and you have 24 hours for them to respond or your match expires. So we had like 2 hours left until our match expired and he still hadn't responded to my message. Once again, I don't remember what I said, but I sent him my number. And to my surprise, he texted me. And I told him I was going to be in Austin that weekend and that I had dinner reservations for Daynata and I would love for him to join us. He immediately was like, oh my gosh, yes, I'm so there. I love Daynata. So the weekend comes around and I don't hear from him the entire weekend. So I cut my losses. The interesting thing is on his Bumble, he had his first and last name. So I looked him up on Instagram and immediately found him. Then I find his TikTok. I wouldn't classify him as an influencer, but he definitely has quite a big following. I was like, okay, slay. And based off of his Instagram, guys, like, he just seemed like such a great guy. I was like, wow, he's got a great family. He's got so many friends. But as I'm stalking his Instagram, I notice a girl. And their pictures were honestly giving like soft launch vibes. So I'm like, okay, maybe they're just friends. I'm just like, okay, surely this guy would not be on Bumble if he had a girlfriend. In my pimped out Chevrolet. I visit Austin a few more times and I keep texting this man, okay? I'm like, I'm going to meet him one way or another. I'm not gonna lie, I'm probably like 4 texts deep of him not responding. Like just me back to back to back. I was taking a solo trip to Austin. I texted him when I landed at the airport and I said, honey, I'm home. Isn't that cute? And he said, my blue-eyed baby is in ATX. This is literally after months of not hearing from this man. Like I said, there are like 4 texts above this that he has not responded to. He tells me his work schedule is a little crazy, but he would love to get breakfast on, I think it was Saturday or Sunday morning. So he picks me up. He's so sweet. He opens the door for me And we go to a bagel shop. He pays for the bagels, and the conversation is absolutely awful. This man did not ask me one single question. When I tell you, he did not reciprocate the conversation at all. And this was my first time experiencing this. I have since realized this is an epidemic, but the entire time it was like pulling teeth trying to make conversation with this guy. Finally, the date just kind of ended and he was like, okay, I can take you back to your hotel. I was leaving that day to go home and he was like, do you want me to come up and help you pack? I was like, yeah, sure. So he comes up to my hotel room. I was already fully packed, by the way. Very shortly after that, we start making out. He literally fell asleep. He had worked nights the night before, and after we kissed for a second, I was just kind of like playing with his hair, and he literally fell asleep. And I woke him up and I was like, hey, like, you need to go home and go to bed. He was like, is there anywhere that you want me to drop you off? And I was like, yeah, actually there's a coffee shop that I kind of want to hang out at before I leave. So he drops me off at this coffee shop and he's like, text me, like, let me know if you need a ride to the airport, gives me a kiss on the forehead, like, just so nice. And then that was the end of that. I never heard from him again. This is where the story gets good. I saw him posted on Are We Dating the Same Guy, Austin. And it was this giant paragraph about how this guy is a serial ghoster. This girl was exclusive with him and he literally ghosted her, was talking to multiple other girls at the same time and she had no idea. And guess who it was? The girl that I saw on his Instagram. I commented and I was like, oh my gosh, girl. She posted the timeline they were together and I said, we literally went on a date. That man was fully on Bumble, fully picked me up, dropped me off, came up to my hotel room. The comments under this post were, I'm not gonna lie, probably at this point, hundreds of girls with the exact same story. And it starts blowing up and gets back to him because there's snitches in that group. He ends up changing his Instagram and TikTok bio to a ghost emoji. Professional ghoster or something like that. So icky, first of all, but also like not a flex, bro. He blocks all of us on Instagram and TikTok. I wasn't even following him on any of his socials. He has since unblocked me on TikTok. That probably won't last long. The part that I love about this is a lot of us girls have become like pretty good friends after this whole entire debacle. I met up with a couple of girls one time when I was in Austin and I love talking to them. I've seen them multiple times since. And I see a bunch of other stories of girls saying that they have bonded over this guy as well. There's been an entire TikTok hate page created about him. Like, he is off the charts. And at this point, it's honestly just kind of sad. Like, I don't know what's wrong in his brain that he thinks that it's just like quirky and silly and there's nothing wrong with his behavior. Do you not realize like how awful you are treating these women? And karma's a bitch. And I'm gonna leave it at that.
So I took time to listen to everything that you said, and you said a lot, but I think, you know, you're mad at accountability is what it is. I mean, you didn't like the man. There was a man that you went out with, you didn't like him, and you said, I'm open to something more casual, right? You know that man's not going to be your husband. Why are you doing that? You're going to, people are going to hear this, and they already have. We don't even have to speculate. A lot of times y'all like to say, well, men are just making that stuff up. Nobody will ever do that. But here we are. They are actually doing it. They're saying, what are you doing? Like, that's a reckless way to date. That's a reckless way to be moving out here in the dating world. This is why y'all are having trouble finding a partner, finding somebody who's going to take you seriously, because you don't even take your situation seriously. You don't, unfortunately for you. And I wish that you had a little bit more self-esteem. That's not really the word that I'm looking for, but just a little bit more oomph, just to realize, hey, maybe it's not worth pursuing this. Maybe I need to do something else. Maybe I figured out that this guy is not my guy, but I want to kiss him anyway because I'm hot in the pants. You didn't need to kiss him to figure out anything. Well, if it had been sparks, I would have. Why are you trying to make sparks? You already said that you didn't like the guy. The guy wasn't, it just wasn't what you thought it would be. Your voice was sore, your throat was sore, whatever and whatnot. You said you didn't want to do that. Why are you still trying to force it? How'd you think our date went? Why do you care? You didn't like it. Leave him alone. Will I be open to something more casual if that's the case? So go ahead and clap my cheeks and then Let's get out of here. Lusting. You're lustful. Y'all try to say that men are the only people that go through this. Y'all are very lustful. And then, once again, we don't have to speculate. We don't have to guess about what you got going on. You will tell us. You will let us know. I am lustful. I am having a problem with this. I am out here chasing men around. And you wonder why men are like, what is your body count? 3. Multiply that by 3. Your body count is really 9. Oh man, why do you say? Because of stories like this. This is why men be asking you about your body count. They're trying to figure out what you've been up to. What you got going on. I don't think if you was a real man, then that wouldn't mean it ain't supposed to mean nothing. So what should I ask you? Ask me about my job. That's great. I love that you have a job. But who are you personally? I love that you're a professional person. That's kicking butt. That's really out there doing your thing. I love that. Fantastic. Round of applause. But who are you as a person? Because that's who I would marry. That's who I have to marry. That's who's going to be raising my babies. That person. Not the professional. Not the CEO. Not the boss babe. I hope not. Not the person that's out here jumping on this person and that person and this person. Why would I want anybody that's doing that? Why would I want anybody that thinks that way? Well, what does that have to do with anything? When your mindset goes like that, if my daughter comes, or my son for that matter, or anybody that I'm affiliated with, hey, Auntie Becky, I got something to talk to you about. And you go out there and give them bad advice. I'm sitting around, my brother or my sister comes to me is like, do you know what Becky told my daughter the other week? No, I didn't even know Becky was talking to your daughter. She told her X, Y, and Z. Whoa, that's crazy. Becky, did you say that? Well, I just figured this. And it all stemmed from your bad thinking, your bad understanding, your bad way of living, your thought process on life. I don't want that in my circle. And that's okay. I don't care if you have an attitude about it. So yes, those people are right to look at you sideways, to get on your case and hold you accountable for the stuff that you out here doing.